We did it. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Friday. We have a very special call today with two very special, wonderful women in real estate, and I'm so excited to have them on the call. We have the Heidi and Leslie team, Heidi Bailey and Leslie Teater. Thank you so much for joining me on Friday.
Thank you, Hallie, for having us. And
Yes.
thank you for calling us special. I needed that on a Friday morning.
You're always special. Anytime you guys need special uplifting, I'm always there for you. But tell us, why don't you introduce yourselves a little bit? I know you guys are a part of the coastal office, but tell us a little bit more about your real estate journey. Who are you? Who's your business? And kind of how did you get started?
I did
Leslie, you
go
want to
first.
start? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Um, I have been in real estate for about 3 years. Before that, I did a little bit of property management for, I was an executive assistant at the time for the owner of a business, and he had a lot of investment properties. And that's kind of how I got interested in real estate and thought, I'm showing all of these apartments for him and I'm collecting the rent for him and I'm really managing it all. It would be fun to get into this and be able to be my own boss and really like get paid for the work I'm doing. So I got my license in 2021 and joined a brokerage where I met Heidi right away, actually, and was on her team for a little bit less than a year. And then we moved to another brokerage where we ended up meeting Stefan and Nasser, Bob, all those great people. And that brokerage merged with EXP. And Heidi and I just wanted more of like a brick and mortar setting where we could come to the meetings on Tuesdays and come to the office if we need to, pick up the phone and call somebody. And so that's when we made the move to KW about a year ago, and we've been loving it ever since.
And we're so happy to have you. It's always good to see you guys in all the classes, so engaged. Thank you. That's a wonderful story. Heidi, how did you kind of get involved and get started?
Yeah, so my career was all actually with a major cosmetic company. I was with them for 25 years, and I was lucky enough to be part of a huge corporate restructure, and about 3,500 of us were laid off. And in that layoff, I got a 2-year severance, which was so cool. So I got to travel and figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I decided that I wanted to do real estate. I was a regional marketing director for them. And so I traveled a lot all over the country, and I had a very I worked a lot, but I also had a lot of flexibility, and I wasn't ready to go back to an office 9 to 5 and, really report. And I wanted to have my own business. So real estate just seemed like the right thing to do. And so I got my license in that 2 years, and I started in 2019. And I worked under an amazing man who was a great mentor, and I basically followed him everywhere he went. And so he ran a team, and then he decided to take a step back from real estate. And so he gave me the team to run for a while. And then he decided to come back to real estate and go to a new brokerage and recruited me. And that's when I recruited Leslie over to that brokerage. And Leslie kind of gave you the rest of the story. But one of the things that she didn't add in there is part of the reason why I love real estate is I like the flexibility and the independence. I work very well independently. I've always had a home office and worked from home, made my own schedule. I'm very, somewhat, I shouldn't say very, I'm somewhat disciplined, and I am really good at managing myself and encouraging myself. So real estate is a good fit for me. But what I don't like is being completely alone all the time. And so being part of a brokerage where we can come and have that camaraderie, but also be separate too, is has been very desirable for me. But I still didn't like working completely by myself. And so I had this vision at some point, and I probably manifested it, that I wanted a partner. and that we could be one real estate agent. And so we could have work-life balance and have flexibility even more so, because I have a family that lives in Washington and I spend a lot of time up there. And I've written many offers up there, and had the pleasure of having a different partner at one point who was down here showing the houses, and I was up there writing the offers. And so it made for a really, a great fit. And so I was looking for that again, and it just naturally and organically happened with Leslie. We decided that one day we were like, we should go door knocking. We had heard someone talk about how, they farmed their area, and we had already door knocked about a year before that, but it didn't stick for some reason. And this time we were like, nope, we're going to do this and we're going to make it stick. And so we just went out there and started doing it. And then we decided, well, now that we're doing this, let's talk about what this is going to look like when we share the wealth. And it evolved into deciding to, have a partnership and then coming to KW. And so we've been partners now a little over a year, and it's the best thing that I've ever done.
I love hearing both of your stories. It's so common that people get started in this industry because of their background and wanting to have more of that freedom and flexibility. And yet you both have taken it to a new level in learning the relationship and partnership that you've created has given you even more freedom. It's something that not all agents consider. I mean, do you have any advice or tips or tricks of how you guys stay married to each other, for lack of a better word?
It's so funny you said that, Hallie, because I talk a lot about my partner and people think I'm talking about my married partner. I'm like, oh, no,
Yeah,
no, my business partner.
but that's what a good
Um,
business relationship is, right? Is literally like a
Totally.
marriage. It's a give and
Yeah.
take of communication. What do you guys do to help
I
that?
I think one of the things that we do is we communicate, and we set that rule up front. We said, let's make sure that we talk about everything, no matter how good or how bad it is. And we do a touch base every day, not once a week. And I mean, I don't know, we probably talked 10 times yesterday, and we spent 3 hours together. Like, we spend a lot of time together. So to your point, it is definitely a marriage. And I believe that the highest form of intimacy is communication. And if you don't have that in any part of your life, things do not work out. And so all relationships need that. And we definitely have that. We also have what I call a great balance. We're completely different from each other. I'm loud and I'm a bull in a china shop, and Leslie is very graceful and like, we're just so different, but we have the exact same work ethic, and that is super important. We believe, and that's what we established before we started. We made sure we sat down and established, is this what you want? Because I said I wanted to work part-time. She's like, well, that's probably not going to work then. And I said, well, part-time to me is 40 hours. And she said, oh, okay, that is going to work then, because I was used to working 80. And so I was like, I don't want to work full-time anymore. And that's what I thought full-time was. So we definitely know that we're both consistent. We both have, we both are great at follow-up. We set a schedule and we stick to it pretty much. We're flexible, and we both have, integrity, and we're tenacious. Like, all the things that we need, we both have. And then all the things that we don't have, we balance each other out. So I think that's what makes our partnership so great.
Yeah, and I would just add in there's mutual trust. And like, even though we're touching base, it's not about like, well, what did you get done yesterday? And what did I get done yesterday? It's not like, it's never tit for tat. We understand that there's going to be different waves in each of our spheres of our business. And sometimes it's all of our leads are from Heidi. Sometimes it's all of our leads are from me. Sometimes it's a mix, and we know it's going to all even out. And even if one of us is the person who's bringing in the majority of the leads, we've both like had moments where we've struggled feeling we are not doing enough for this team. And the other one is always able to just encourage that person and say, you know, this is not going to be a hang up for me. And I know that you're going to do like your equal share of work. Just because the lead came from me, it doesn't I don't feel like I am doing more work than you. So we're able to like really like help each other through struggles and like any days where we have like a mentally tough day. Like Heidi said, we talk constantly. Like we're always talking. So when she was gone last week in Hawaii, I was I was reminded like, oh yeah, like normally I would be talking to Heidi about this. And you kind of remind yourself about what it's like to be a lone agent. And then when she gets back, I'm like, oh good, I'm just glad to have her back, you know. But it's really, really nice because we both do travel a lot to have somebody always here so that our business can it never really pauses. If someone's on vacation, the other one can go door knocking and make calls and help our clients. And it's been really seamless so far.
Talk to me or talk to us a little bit more about that schedule. I've heard you guys reference it a couple times. What does that daily team schedule look like or weekly schedule for you guys? What's on there? What's the non-movables and non-negotiables for you?
For,
Um,
go ahead,
for
Leslie.
for us, I would say we don't have that many non-negotiables. What we want to get accomplished every week is door knocking at least 2 to 3 times a week. And we try to do that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And for us, it's our schedule is sort of moving throughout the week to accommodate each of our different things that may pop up, or if clients reach out and want to see a house or something. So there is some flexibility, but we know we want to door knock ideally 3 times a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, but usually three. We each always reach out to our sphere in the morning. So we've like blocked out our morning as time for prospecting. And so we'll touch base around 9, and then we know around 9:30 we're each going to start making calls, texts, emails, and then we're probably going to meet for door knocking around 11 or 12. Do that for 2 hours, and then the afternoon is free for meeting with clients or catching up on anything you haven't gotten done, responding to emails, um, and then helping like if we have an escrow, figuring out what needs to be done with that. And then for weekends, it's we do try and keep our weekends open. If we need to show clients property, then we will just make sure that we're like switching off. So not someone's not always working on the weekend. And if one person has Saturday free, the other person will have Sunday free. So we kind of have like been able to transition into always having at least one weekend day off for the most part. Um, so that's kind of what our schedule looks like. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I've been an agent of just a little bit longer, and so I was taught in the very beginning to block out the time. And I'm a calendar. I look at my calendar every day. I was taught to how time management. And so I block out when I need to go to the grocery store. Otherwise, I'll forget to do that. So everything is on my calendar. So from the very beginning, I blocked out 2 hours in the morning for phone calls, 2 hours for, if we door knock or, whatever prospecting, if I'm going to meet, I have a lot of sphere. And so I block out 2 hours to meet friends for lunch or, go for a walk or whatever I can do to connect with my sphere. And so that has really helped me because if I have nothing on my calendar, nothing will get done. That's my discipline. My discipline is my calendar, looking at it every Monday morning for the week and then every day throughout the day. What do I have next? What do I have next? And that's why for me personally, I have to put all of it on there
You
and it
know,
keeps me going.
that's great. And you guys both mentioned, scheduling and calendars, and that is a huge part to that communication piece. When you're working with someone else, you can see how cohesive each activity is between the two of you. And a part of that is communication and transparency. And it's rather difficult to be able to share those activities and things when it's not consistently happening every week, right? Where you're not
Exactly.
consistently going door knocking together.
Exactly. And we share our calendars. So I know when, we both have everything on the calendar the same, and I know when she's going to be gone, she knows when I'm going to be gone. So things have overlapped. At one point we both were in Hawaii. It was so funny last year. We both were there for like 2 days at the same time. And that's okay. It's never going to be perfect, but we know that we at least know when we're looking at things. Yeah. And let me talk to like my girlfriend asked me the other day, can you go here? And I said, let me talk to my partner. It's important that I make sure that this is right for both of us. And I think that is key to our success too, as not just the relationship, but we are putting our business, and we know we are putting our family first, but we're putting our business first too. So there is that right amount of balance, that I'm never resentful at my job or resentful at Leslie or resentful at my personal life for getting in my way. I can always have that right balance, because I've had that in the past where I was resentful at my job for not allowing me and to do some of the things I wanted to do with my family, and I don't ever want to experience that again.
It's amazing how those things affect our mindset so much. But speaking of mindset, you guys brought up both door knocking, which is an activity that some realtors probably do here on the call, and maybe some people who have some reservation about it. Share with us more about that journey and how that's kind of become a part of your book of business, and share any tips that you guys have if you can.
Well, for me, I there's like 20 things you can do in real estate to prospect and make your business happen. And everything gets you something and nothing gets you nothing, right? And so in the beginning of my career, I kind of tried everything. And I have zero regrets, because everything has gotten me right where I am today. And I love where I'm at today. But if there's one thing I could have done a little different, it would have been in the beginning to pick a lane and stick with it. And so when Leslie and I finally got together a couple years ago, we decided to pick the lane, and the lane was, in order for us to prospect, we wanted to door knock. It sounded like the right thing to do for us. That's the other thing. It's like, pick the lane that works for you. And so we just decided to try it. We had done it a couple times, and it was okay, but it didn't feel right for some reason. And this time we went out the first week and it felt right. We connected, the trees were, I know the flowers were blooming, people were answering doors with smiles. And we were just like, oh my gosh, we love this. We felt good afterwards, And so we were like, okay, this is what's going to stick for us. And this job we just talked to a brand new agent yesterday, and the first thing she said is, where do I start? That feeling of not knowing what to do every day. And that's how you can feel as a real estate agent. What do I do today? How do I make calls? Well, who do I call? Where do I get my call list? How do I door knock? Where do and it's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I remember feeling like that so many days, even after I kind of had a consistent schedule. So getting out there into that track of homes that we decided to pick, and just knowing, okay, this is what we want to do. Okay, let's make the plan then. And the plan was, well, if we're going to door knock, should we have something more than just, hey, we're your local real estate agents? And both of us have the same passion to give back to our communities. So we started door knocking with more of a purpose and started having events in those neighborhoods. Currently, we're doing an active shooter event. It's going to be at the Dana Library. And then we're also doing a toy drive for the Long Beach Rescue Mission. So we always have a purpose, but we never forget to say, do you have any real estate plans, or do you know of anybody else that does? So we keep to that script too. We always remind them who we are and what we do, but we always want to give back to the community. So and like I was saying earlier, you know what you're going to do today. You just know that when you wake up, I'm going door knocking. I know what I'm doing today. And even if you don't get anything that happens and transpires through the day with the door knocking, something else happens. Like this week, we've had 3 clients reach out to us, 1 brand new client, and then 2 other clients that want to see homes. And we door knocked, but nothing really happened with the door knocking, and that's okay. Action, is attraction. It brings other things to you. So, and we decided to make that our farm. So it's not just door knocking freely. We're out there in one area that we have picked So we also make our phone calls there. So in the morning, like Leslie said, we're calling our sphere, but we're also calling our farm. So we make phone calls in that area, we door knock in that area, we do events in that area. And then as we started closing escrows, we now do mailers in that area. So we've been able to add more to that farm. And we definitely, we've gotten our first listing there. So that's exciting. And we're about to close on that listing. We close on Tuesday. So we're starting to see the fruits of our labor, and we've been door knocking, what, 18, 19 months? So it's been over 2 years. So it's, I mean, almost 2 years. So it's taken a while, you know? And that's why I say if there was one thing I could have done differently, it would have been picking a lane and sticking with it. Because had we started 5 years ago, look where we might be today. So, and it's not, like I said, a bad thing that you try some different things, but I do recommend that if you do try anything, give it 6 months to a year. Don't just leave before the miracle happens, because there's so many miracles out there. And in the meantime, we've had so much come to us. You know, we've had the best year ever this year. And, you know, once again, only one transaction came from door knocking. 70% of our business this year has been from our sphere. And yeah, so, you know, you just never know.
I think that I think that you guys shared so many really good things there. I love how it's about trusting the process and knowing what you're doing every day. You know, we talked about this in our team meeting the other day when I had both of you on our farming panel, talking about farming. And there's a reason that it's called farming, because it takes time to nurture the relationships, to turn them into referrals and business. You know, you're turning complete strangers into your sphere of influence is the way you have to look at farming, right? And think about how good of relationships you built over the years with the people in your life. It didn't come overnight, right? You didn't say, "Hey, I'm Heidi, nice to meet you," and then all of a sudden you're BFFs and you guys are riding off into the sunset together, right? But that's what farming is. It does take some time. It really does. And over again in the nurture. But I love the end of that comment when you said, but we still ask for the business. That's a key part that a lot of agents miss or lose. It's all about the value, but then yet there's no call to action.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Talk to me a little bit more about I love it. Good, Stefan. Thank you for commenting that in the side. Talk to us a little bit more about the conversations that you guys are having with your clients and at door knocking. What are you seeing in the market that's happening right now? Is there anything consistently that you're hearing over and over again, good and bad?
Well, I think people are starting to get hopeful that the market has like turned a corner. That was the kind of the consensus yesterday. A lot of people were asking me, you know, what's it like out there? Does it seem like people are a little bit more excited? Like now that the election's over, I heard interest rates are going down. That's been the main thing that people have brought up is, do you think interest rates are going down? And so, and we go to the Long Beach broker preview, and Bob over there always gives a good, like, kind of synopsis of what's going on with buyers right now. What is the like overall attitude of buyers? And it does seem like we've kind of turned a corner for buyers where they're a little bit more open to thinking about looking, and maybe even like younger sellers who need to move up to the next bigger property, they hopefully will follow suit and be more open to moving up to the next spot. On the seller side, I would say people are still a little bit hesitant. They're expecting things to take a little bit longer, but we have a seller right now out in Pomona who we just talked to last night because he he has a house that's been on the market for a month, and I know we've talked about how that's really not that long in the scheme of things, but it feels really long to us when we're used to getting offers in the first week or the first 2 weeks. And we haven't had that many people reach out to see it, but he's really not concerned. And he seems to have a really good understanding of what the market is like right now, what the climate is like right now with the election and everything, and interest rates being a little higher than people are hoping. They just people seem to be sort of realistic. They know that interest rates have been promised to go down. They're hopeful that they will continue to go down. But they're not as scared, it seems like. They're maybe a little bit apprehensive and trying to be realistic about what's happening, but if they need to sell, that's what they're gonna do. They're not gonna keep waiting. What have you seen, Heidi?
Yeah, everything that Leslie just said, like for sure. And then I personally, I know everybody wants listings. I love being a buyer's agent. And I just see this as the turn for the buyers now. I just feel like the last 6 months I've seen such a difference. Offers being accepted, not needing it to be the highest on all the contingencies, removed. We were able to get some buyers into a house a couple months ago, and it was so fun to help them and not have all that crazy pressure of 25 offers. There were quite a few offers on the house, but once that kind of happened, and now we're seeing the shift. And I have a good friend who is just a buyer's agent, and she's had a huge uplift in her business because it just seems to be switching to a buyer's market, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see some people getting into houses and not struggling and stressing out. So I'm really enjoying the climate change for those, for all of those young first-time buyers and the future of them, as we need them to fuel our economy anyways. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of seeing out there.
It's all about perspective. There is an upside to every single market that we go to. If you look through, it's a seller's market, great. Then we're going to focus on our listings and we're going to get really good and hone our craft. And then if it's a buyer's market, it's like, okay, great. Now we're going to level up our buyers, especially with all the changes that we have with the NAR and the settlement and making sure representation is where it needs to be moving forward. It's really about perspective. Both of you guys have a very healthy one, which says that there's still opportunity no matter what we go through, no matter what we change, there's still clients that need to be helped by people, business professionals just like yourself. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and the change that we had this year, I know it was a little crazy in the beginning of the year. Everybody was a little bit in fear, especially those that have been around for a while, but it's been the best change, I
Mm.
think. I've been around for a little while, and I began in the business. One of the things that I thought was really important was getting leads. And I just wanted leads and leads and leads. And when that started happening, I also got a lot of ghosting and, not very loyal, buyers. And so this change has brought about what I consider loyalty,
Mm.
and that's one thing that Leslie and I are, it's really important to us: trust, respect, and loyalty. And so this change has brought that on for all of us. And I'm excited about the future.
Trust, respect, and loyalty. What wonderful words to be a part of your business. We've got only a couple minutes left. Do you guys have any other things for anyone on the call? Any other things you want to say, share, kick them off for a good, productive weekend?
I always say go for it. Don't let the script get in your way, or what is it that I'm really going to do? Just get out there. If you're going to make phone calls, just pick up the phone and just start a conversation. Be you. Just knock on the door, open up the door to your open house, and just let it flow. It's all going to be okay. You cannot make a really bad mistake. You can only learn from it. So if you do make a mistake, it's only going to get you better.
Mhm. Yeah, we're constantly being reminded of things that we need to learn or relearn. And we were just having a conversation yesterday about, oh, yeah, we need to do this every time we like write an offer or something. And it's just don't be afraid to keep learning. And like Heidi said, you're going to make mistakes, but you're going to learn from them. Every single transaction, every single client's going to be so different from the next. And you might even learn something that you never need to use again, but at least you know it. And each time we go through this process, we just get more and more confident in our skills and abilities. And the only way to do that is to just keep going, keep at it, and
Just
consistent.
keep at it. Just keep at it. Just keep going. Thank you, ladies, so much Heidi
Thanks.
Bailey, Leslie Teeter, you are phenomenal. Thank you all. I
you.
know they are very friendly as well. You guys, please reach out to them if you have any more questions, want to talk more about it, need a little bit more direction and motivation. I know these women both give back to their community just as much. So thank you for being leaders. We appreciate you. Everyone go out, have a good, productive weekend. Happy to celebrate you all. Let's go out and get a new client. Let's go out and work extra hard, just like Heidi and Leslie.
Thank you, Hallie. You're
You guys.
amazing. Bye, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Thank you,
good day,
ladies.
guys.